All right. Let's just make sure we are. Thank you guys so much of you who are live this evening. This is a conversation I am so excited to be having with all of you this evening, whether you're catching this on the live or the replay. So just a couple of quick introductions. If by some chance you're catching this video on the replay, I'm Carrie Carpenter. I'm a health and wellness coach, and we are here tonight to talk about CBD. And Dr. Amy Brenner has so graciously given of her time to go through some CBD education with us. And Dr. Brenner and I connected in the weirdest way, but I am a huge, huge, huge advocate for believing that everything happens for a reason. And I have the utmost trust in the universe, and I always believe that it's pointing me exactly where I'm meant to be. And so here we are. So Dr. Brenner, if you will just take a second to kind of tell us a little bit how you ended up here, give us a little bit of your background. I don't want to really say something wrong since I've just gotten to know you, but I am so grateful that you're here with us this evening and really excited about what we're going to chat about. Dr. Brenner is going to go through her presentation, and then I'll come on in that piece to kind of talk about the business of Zolysse, and then we'll kind of do a Q&A at the end. If that sounds good for you, Dr. Brenner, is that kind of your line?
That sounds amazing.
Okay.
So sounds like a plan. So, so thank you so much, Carrie. That was, I think people are going to be really excited. What I found is when I give this talk, people, my patients are just so gracious to hear this information, because I think people are really looking for this, looking for natural ways to approach health and optimize their health and get off of medications. Just a little bit about my background of how I learned about these products is I'm originally a board certified OBGYN and did that just traditional OBGYN for 11 years. And then about 9 years ago, I left that and started my own practice. And I still do traditional gynecology, but started off with a focus in bioidentical hormones and doing some weight loss programs. And from there, it just really expanded into now we have I call it integrative medicine, where I still do traditional medicine, but we do a lot of things for weight loss, wellness, kind of all aspects of hormones, not just menopause and andropause, but thyroid and insulin resistance and healing the gut and treating cholesterol or blood sugar issues from a more natural approach with lifestyle and supplements. And so I also, over the past 8 years, have been working on a second board certification, which is that ABAARM letters behind my name. So basically I also have a certification in functional and anti-aging medicine. And during that coursework, I learned a lot about what we're going to talk about tonight. But it wasn't legal in Ohio until actually July 30th of this year of 2019. So I'd really just been sitting on the sidelines of learning about it. But then once it was legal in Ohio, I instantly brought it into my practice. And so luckily I had already previously done my homework and learned about other products that weren't as good and tried them myself before I learned about Zolysse. So it was just such a natural fit into our kind of integrative medicine and hormone practice. And we also do a lot of weight loss. So it's only been a couple months, but the results that we're seeing in our practice of getting people off of medicines are just really exciting. So I will go ahead and just get started. And like Carrie said, I'm going to give the science presentation and the background about, we're really going to talk about endocannabinoid medicine. So it's more than just CBD. We're going to talk about the other new kid on the block of CBG. And I'll give Carrie time to kind of add things in. Sometimes my downfall is I can make it a little too sciencey. So then Carrie can talk about the medicine or the business aspect and why as a health coach that she thought this was also a great fit for all of you guys and the people that she has in her network. Does that sound okay?
Perfect. Love it.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get started. If I can figure out how to get started is the question. So the first thing is my lawyer likes that I put this slide in. So even though I'm going to talk about things that I talk to my patients about, what we're going to talk about tonight is not intended for me to be anybody's doctor. And because this is a supplement, we might talk about or even mention some disease states, but because this is a supplement, it's not meant to cure, diagnose, treat any disease. So common question that I found even when I talk to my doctor friends is so many people think that, you know, you might have to have your medical marijuana card to get this, or
Alex, you sat there for not even a minute.
You have to have a certain license as a provider to distribute CBD oil. So we'll just throw those myths out the window and just go back to the basics of CBD, CBG, even marijuana all come from the same plant, and that plant is called the cannabis plant. And then when it grows up and becomes a mature plant, it's either labeled as a hemp plant if it has minimal or trace levels of THC, or it actually becomes labeled a marijuana plant if it has high levels of THC. So it's kind of just a little bit of basics about that. If any of you guys ever took any science classes, and as you can imagine, being a physician, I took a ton of science classes, and even through all of my schooling, I never learned about something called the endocannabinoid system. We've all heard of all these other systems in our body, our reproductive system, nervous system, cardiovascular system, etc. But, you know, we never heard about this. I really think that going forward, probably my grandkids and your grandkids will learn about the endocannabinoid system probably in 4th or 5th grade science. But the reason why we haven't heard about it is because it wasn't invented or discovered until 1992. But since then, it's been just information explosion. And what I think is what we know about it now is really just the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much more to know about the endocannabinoid system. But we already do know a ton about CBD and CBG. And what we do know about it is it works on all of our other systems in our bodies. So, and it's really the engine of homeostasis. So, when you understand this of how it can affect all of our other systems, then it makes sense, and it makes scientific sense, and not just like I'm up here peddling something like snake oil. Because when you start talking about what CBD and what CBG can do for us, it sounds a little far-fetched of how can it help this person's autoimmune disease and maybe reduce flare-ups of rheumatoid arthritis. How can it also potentially slow somebody's progression with Alzheimer's and dementia? How can it help somebody else's blood pressure? How can it help somebody else's arthritis, hot flashes? One person, it causes them to gain weight if they're kind of cachectic or too skinny. Or another person, if they need to lose weight, how can it help them lose weight? And it just kind of, again, sounds like snake oil or too good to be true until you really go back on what I'm going to explain in the next couple minutes of understanding the science of the endocannabinoid system. But to just summarize it in one sentence is our endocannabinoid system works on all of our other systems in the body and just brings them into balance. And so that's why the endocannabinoid system has been named the engine of homeostasis. Why did it do that? Give me a second here. And the reason why it works on all of those is we have a couple receptors in our body, and those receptors are just throughout our central nervous systems, particularly our CB1 receptors, and then our CB2 receptors are on all aspects of our immune system. A common question we get is, well, how safe is it? And what we know about it from published studies in the literature, that even if somebody was taking massive doses of CBD, so the product we have in our office is called Ultracell from Zalise. That's the product that Carrie's choosing to use as well. So if somebody drank 3 bottles every day for a prolonged period of time, because each bottle has about 500 milligrams. So we know from published studies that up to 1,500 milligrams a day, meaning if you chugged 3 bottles, that it really didn't have a lot of side effects. Maybe somebody might get a little bit fatigued or have some diarrhea or appetite changes, but compared to other drugs that are on the market, CBD just has a really safe and a better side effect profile compared to the other drugs that we're using. So in my practice, I see predominantly women, and a lot of women are taking antidepressants, which I see that those kind of medications just zap people's libido and inability to have orgasms. So we're using this to get people off of those kind of medicines, or sleeping pills that have their own set of side effects of grogginess, amnesia, kind of sleep eating, and some of them do increase the risk of dementia. So we're using CBD and CBG in our practice, as that's probably the primary reason, is to get people off antidepressants and get people off sleeping pills. And what we're finding is CBD and CBG, people might take it for one reason and they're not getting a side effect like you would get with these antidepressants and sleeping pills, but getting side benefits instead. So maybe you take it for sleep, but see that it also affects mood, or it also affects your bowel or aches and pains. So I think the side effect is minimal, if at all. The problem, though, is when you're choosing a CBD is most of this, it's all about absorption. So Carrie, you and I got into kind of a text thread of somebody was asking you some pretty pointed questions. Well, this bottle costs this much and it has this many milligrams, and your bottle has 500 milligrams and it costs this much. And what I wrote back to you, Carrie, if you remember, is it's kind of talking about apples and oranges, because what really matters is does this product work? And the reason why it works is because it gets into our body and it gets absorbed into our body. So the majority, or a very high percentage, of the other CBD or hemp products on the market only have an absorption rate of around 4 to 6%. I'll show you in a little bit that the Zalise Ultracell products have around 90% absorption. Most of the other CBDs on the market only will take anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes to work and only last about 3 to 4 hours. So even the few that may have a good absorption, they only stick around for 3 to 4 hours. So it's going to require multi times a day dosing.
I'm going to interject there, because that was something for me that it really was kind of a concept that took me a second to really wrap my mind around. I heard you say it when I listened to the original webinar that I listened to, and I was like, okay, big deal. But seriously, for those of you watching, that is one of the biggest things that sets what we're talking about tonight apart. Like Dr. Brenner said a second ago, it makes it very different. She's going to go into that a little bit deeper, but I want to point out that was the part that it took me a minute to really wrap my brain completely around, to really understand the whole like water doesn't mix sort of thing. So sorry, I just want to make sure we're hearing this piece, because I think it's so important.
Yeah, and that makes sense of kind of what you and I were going back and forth with the other day about the milligrams. So, because what we don't know from the medical literature is we don't know how many milligrams it takes to achieve a result. And I will tell you, even Zalise, I think, kind of overestimated what they thought was going to be the suggested dose. So, when you get a hold of a bottle of Zalise's Ultracell, it actually says the serving size is 1 ml. But now that it's been around for a couple years, even Zalise is changing their dosing recommendations to say that most people aren't even requiring the suggested serving size of 1 ml because the dose is going to be different for everybody. So um, anyway, I kind of got sidetracked there, is just what we're going for is an end result for symptom improvement, and everybody's different. So looking for milligrams to milligrams of comparing products, it just really doesn't make any sense to me, because it's just talking like, again, two different things. So anyway, this was a little science experiment that I did. So before I learned about Zalise, I had learned, as I mentioned, about a ton of the medicine of CBD. So I had personally have 3 other bottles of garbage CBD that, I took based on the directions of the bottle. And I just went when I was traveling and found CBD in other states and brought them home, and because my issue was sleep, and they didn't work for me. And then when I really somebody introduced Zalise to me, my initial thought was, I don't need it. It doesn't work for me. I already tried 3 of them. And a doctor friend of mine said, just try Zalise. And then after a couple weeks, it was life-changing for me. So then I was really intrigued of, why did this work and not work? So I actually took out the other CBD brands that I have. Now, I will tell you, in this picture, I had my graphic designer cut out the labels. I didn't want anybody from the CBD on the right to get offended, but I took a couple droppers full, put it in water, swished it around with a spoon, and then did the same with the Zalise Ultracell, and then let it sit there for about 10 minutes. And you could see that the one on the right, the one that did nothing for me personally, after a few minutes, it just sat on the top of the water as you would expect. And the Zalise Ultracell on the left diffused through the water. So if you have any CBD products that you already have, I would encourage you to actually do this little science experiment yourself.
And our bodies are mostly made of water, which is why the absorption is improved. Got it.
Yep. Another really important point to look at when you're choosing a CBD oil is organically sourced. So I don't know, Carrie, in your coaching of health and wellness and weight loss, I don't know, do you usually talk about eating organic or?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we all know that eating organic is healthy, but obviously it costs a little more to choose organic. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go to the grocery store, I feel like I have a mental war every time of, are my kids worth the extra, 50 cents a pound when I buy apples of organic? So, but when it comes to the hemp plant, it's really important to choose organic. And the reason is the hemp plant is just like a sponge. It just sucks everything up in the soil. So if there's heavy metals in the soil, it will end up in the hemp plant. If there's other organic pollutants or pesticides in the soil, it will end up in the hemp plant. So having an organic product is really important, because the only reason why somebody would be taking this product is to improve their health. But if you're not taking organic, you could hypothetically be, harming your health. So knowing that it's organically sourced is really important.
I thought it was really interesting too, this where they talked about in that article, in that last one, where they talked about how the hemp plant, they use it because it is such an absorptive plant. Like not obviously something you would use to take eventually as CBD or anything like that. But I found that was so interesting that it is that absorptive of the soil. Another thing that, it kind of crossed my mind for the coaches that are on this call, when you're really thinking about quality, like all the technology does really oftentimes even outside of the US because the soil here is poor. And so we appreciate that it comes from a source that we know isn't contaminated, so we're getting a pure product. So it's kind of the same, on the same lines of, that was another thing that really drew me towards this, was that, I trust that it's being sourced from a soil that is not toxic, or like Dr. Brenner said, going to put heavy metals back into our bodies, arsenic, lead, everything. So definitely a really important point when you're choosing a CBD oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry.
Good
Like,
stuff.
driving those little things home, I wish like I could have like pressed those buttons for myself. So just thoughts.
Yeah. Common question we get is, well, what about drug testing? So in order to be legal in the United States, it has to have less than 0.3% THC. So there's a lot of companies that do have that, and I think it's highly likely with 0.3% that a drug test will be positive. What I really like about Zalisa's products, their UltraCell CBD and their Ultra CBG, is it has 0.0% THC. So I have never heard of anybody having a positive confirmatory drug test of taking these products. Having said that, it still does come from the plant. So there can be trace amounts of THC. So I would just tell somebody, if they have if I have a patient recently who was a pilot, and she said, it's a done deal, career ending decision, doctors know it or not. And so in that situation, I would probably tell them to avoid hemp products. So, but for most people, if it's not a career ending thing, I also think it's just, I've never heard of it happening. My colleagues that are pain doctors that are using these products in their practice, pain doctors do drug testing on their patients every month. And I have a pain doctor friend in Kentucky, and she's been using this product for, over a year, and she's never had a problem with, or never had a positive drug test. But I kind of relate it to, winning the Powerball. Like if someone was planning on that as their retirement, I'm like, yeah, that's just not going to happen. But, is it it's theoretically possible that it could happen. So I just like to let people to be aware of that and what it says on Zalisa's website. So how do you take this stuff? I mentioned a little earlier that there's no set milligrams like we're used to in the prescription drug world of this many milligrams of this, for even in the supplement world. Because at this time in 2019, we don't have a test to measure our own internal endocannabinoids that these work on. And so everybody kind of has to figure out what dose works for them. And everybody's going to be a little different based on their age, weight, genetics, what problem we're trying to achieve. So if somebody has a chronic problem, maybe car accidents and rods in their back and chronic pain, it might take them, a month or 2 months to see the result versus, for me, it took 2 weeks for me to start sleeping better, about 4 weeks for me before I started sleeping like, I call it sleeping like a 20-year-old, where I could probably literally sleep in a bathtub now and wake up refreshed. And that's how I used to sleep as a 20-year-old. So Zalise has also realized, because their absorption is so high, that what they originally thought of everybody taking 1 milliliter is a lot of people don't need to take that much. So in that case, this one bottle can sometimes last so much longer than a month. So what I found is I personally take a 0.5 milliliter twice a day. My mother, who's 73, literally takes 2 drops once a day, and it's helping with her hot flashes and sleeping. So what we're recommending in our practice is to start people just really low, once or twice a day, and then go up every few days as needed until you get to the desired result. If somebody's going to take CBG in addition to CBD, which we'll talk about that in a minute, then I would recommend taking a little bit lower of CBD and a little bit higher of CBG. We're going to talk about some boosters that are non-hemp products, and for those, I just recommend people to follow the directions on the bottle. But what I like about this versus a lot of other products on the market that may be pills or capsules or gummies or things like that is whenever you take anything orally, it's going to get destroyed by the acid in your stomach a little bit, and then it's also going to go through your liver. When you take things, when you bypass the stomach and you put it under your tongue, we have these sublingual veins right under our tongue, and so it just bypasses the stomach and the liver. So it's almost as good as like an IV dose, because it's not going to get degraded in the stomach and the liver, and it's just going to go right into our system. So combining this route of administration with the patented technology that allows it to get absorbed, it's just going to work so much better. Again, taking out that milligram per milligram kind of argument or, question that other people want to talk about. Anything else to add there, Carrie?
No, but that's, I'll just point out again what you said about the gummies. That's been a conversation that's come up for me a couple of times from people like, well, gummies. And I mean, exactly why you just said is, the absorption, the second it hits your stomach acid and then also is filtered through your liver, it goes your absorption. Yeah, just make sure that you're understanding what she's saying there. Like, that's a really important factor with this one. Cool.
So to summarize of how to choose a CBD product is having it be water soluble, so it actually gets into our body. That's mostly water. I really like that this has a 12-hour duration, and the reason why is a lot of people may be taking it for one reason, but like for instance, for me, I took it primarily for sleep and also just for mood. But I choose to take it twice a day because of all the other health benefits that it's doing for me. Is it's actually kills cancer cells. The medical term for that is apoptotic, is it just causes cancer cells to just self-destruct. It literally causes regeneration of neurons in your brain. So for me, I have a strong family history of Alzheimer's. So anything I can do, even exercise, you probably know that, Carrie, since you coach people on that, is exercising almost every day I'm alive because of what it does to my brain health. So this is just another thing that I felt I can do to reduce my risk of getting dementia. So I recommend people to dose it twice a day, even if they're just taking it for one reason, if they want to get all the potential benefits of CBD and CBG. Having it be from the US, I think, is really important. That's going to be in the labels of all hemp products coming forward for those that choose to kind of apply for this US Hemp Authority stamp of approval. Having it be organically sourced, having it be from the whole plant. So if you look on the back of a bottle and it says CBD or hemp stalks or hemp stems, then it's not from the whole plant. It's just part of it's just part of the plant. Anybody that you talk to that's a chemical engineer will ask you, well, how is it extracted? I'm not a chemical engineer, but from what I understand, a CO2 extraction process is a lot healthier. One thing I think is really cool is, you don't have people like me that are ambassadors for the company just telling you all of this, but every single bottle has a QR code on it. So if you have that app on your phone, you can actually scan the back of the bottle and see the QR code, and it will actually pull up the certificate of analysis and show that it doesn't have any heavy metals or pesticides and doesn't have any THC, and it has exactly what it says it has on it. For me, being in the anti-aging field, the chief medical officer is Dr. Derek De Silva. So for people that are in that kind of world, Carrie, I know your parents are also in the functional medicine world, so they probably also recognize this name. And I just also know that hundreds of doctors are choosing to bring these products into their office because, quite frankly, it's the leading brand in the whole country. As well as I think that they've already proven that they're not just going to be a CBD company, they're going to be an endocannabinoid company, because they're the only ones right now that have CBG, and they're not going to stop with just that. So one of the reasons why I am so excited about this opportunity is not only it's helping so many people and so many patients, and we're getting great results, but just also, Carrie told you I own my own business. Of being an entrepreneur is I just see a huge business opportunity here, because I think CBG and CBG are just the tip of the iceberg. And over the next kind of decade, endocannabinoid medicine is just going to explode. So I think this is going to change my kind of financial future and my kids' financial future way more than I can do of being a physician and owning my own practice. So
I'm going to add just one thing to that slide. Just so all of you know, that those of you that are in the Facebook group, I actually made a screen recording of myself scanning my bottle, so you can see what the certificate of analysis looks like. If you are a visual learner like me, I just thought it was kind of neat that there was actually something, I QR read it, and she was talking about the QR code kind of thing. So I will put that into the group just so you can kind of see what that looks like too.
Awesome. If you're anything like me, on most days, I actually prefer my dogs over my teenage children. So, so in fact, my dogs might bark here when my oldest gets home, but because these products don't have any xylitol, which apparently is harmful for pets, you can also choose to give these products to your pets. So what's really exciting is this is something really the whole family can take. So now my husband has asked, because my routine is my bedtime routine, and then I take mine, then I give it to my dogs, and I just, you put it on their gums. And then I'll go over to my husband, and he's usually in bed, and say, open up your mouth and here's yours. And he has said, well, can we at least just get 2 bottles of this stuff? So we're working out of a human bottle and a pet bottle, but what he doesn't know doesn't hurt him. So but anyway, you could see here, I am that crazy dog lady. So I actually got the dog stroller for my older dog because she just has some arthritis and couldn't keep up with me and my younger puppy dog when we went for runs or walks. But so I've been really diligent about giving my dogs the CBD and the CBG. And I can tell you, my older dog, it's really helped her arthritis and going up and down the steps. And also, she just eats her paws because of food allergies, and that has completely gone away since we've started this. But also, lesson learned, these products, particularly the Burn, has a cinnamon taste, so you don't want to leave them around because puppies will get into them. So now I'm just going to touch a little bit on CBG. So in the CBD product, there is a small amount of CBG as well as 100+ other phytocannabinoids. And that's what makes it full spectrum, because it's not just a CBD isolate. This company came out with CBG just a few months ago, and CBG still has the 100+ other phytocannabinoids and a small amount of CBD, but it has 60 times more CBG in it. So CBG has a lot of the same healing properties of CBG, but it just does a little bit better when it comes to the immune system, pain, the way it works, of lowering blood pressure. It's so potent of lowering blood pressure that when somebody has high blood pressure, I will tell them, don't take your blood pressure medicine the next morning until you take your blood pressure, because you may not need it anymore. That's how well CBG has been working for blood pressure. Things such as ADD may work better with CBG compared to CBD. I also think there's a little bit more data about CBG and what it does for the immune system. But otherwise, it does a lot of the same things as CBD can do. So the mechanism of action of understanding like exactly scientifically how CBD works compared to CBG, they have completely different mechanisms of action. So they can be used together to supercharge your results, kind of like adding a shot of espresso into your coffee, or they could just be combined. So in my practice, if somebody's able to take a little bit of both of them, I think that's ideal. Otherwise, the benefit CBD has right now is more people probably know about CBD than CBG. But if I'm talking to people in my practice and they have an autoimmune disease, they have a blood pressure issue, or they actually have overactive bladder, like, you know, that I gotta go right now type of thing, I will actually choose CBG over CBD.
So quick question about CBG, because I know I have a couple of my friends whose family or themselves have an autoimmune disease, and also a few parents on whose kids have juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, that sort of thing. Correct? CBD.
I missed your last question. What did you say?
You would recommend both in that case, CBG and CBD?
Yeah, because they work differently. If somebody was only going to take one, I think CBG would be a better for the immune, any kind of immune problem. But because they work really totally different, I think they work so much better together. Kind of in your world, we know that diet works for weight loss, but we also know that exercise works. So when you combine them, you just supercharge your results. So I would rather, in somebody take a higher dose of one, if they can take a lower dose of both, I think is ideal.
Got it. Thanks.
So just to summarize, I think the main reasons why people are using these types of products are any kind of neurological issues. So there's actually an FDA-approved drug, a CBD isolate for children with epilepsy. So we know there's a role on reducing seizures. There's a lot of data in the literature about Alzheimer's, dementia, some basic science research about how it's literally regenerating neurons in the brain. Any kind of aches and pains, the results that we're hearing with this are also just really exciting. I didn't really go through it that much about the exact products, but there's also a topical CBD that can work almost instantaneously. And what I mean by that, like 5, 10, 15 minutes of putting the cream that has CBD on an isolated joint. So kind of a knee that's bothering somebody. I personally tore some ligaments in my ankle, so the topical has been really helping with that. So that can be used in addition as well. I already mentioned we're using it to get people off antidepressants and sleeping issues. A lot of stuff in the medical literature. We're never going to say that this is a cure for cancer or prevention of cancer, but there's some studies in the literature of tumors regressing and anti-proliferative, which is, that's what happens when somebody gets cancer, is the cells just start proliferating. If you know anything kind of about functional or integrative medicine, is inflammation is just the root cause of any disease. So both of these have just some really exciting anti-inflammatory properties to them. So any kind of itis, so any kind of inflammation of the bowel, joints, brain, you name it, thyroid, autoimmune thyroiditis or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, anything that ends with an itis, the anti-inflammatory properties will help along those lines. Just inflammation in the bowel, so we're using it for, you know, bloating, constipation. I think I would probably pick CBG for bowel issues. And because of this, what it's doing for from an anti-inflammatory and anti-proliferative effect is, I just think it's a great anti-aging property or anti-aging type of thing. I've also heard other people say it's, you know, helping with like hair and skin and nails. So at least locally in Cincinnati, a lot of salons are carrying this because it's literally causing people's hair to grow faster. Yeah.
I was just going to stop you real quick because I have someone on live that was asking, as far as autoimmune disorders, any research on effects of psoriasis? I just didn't want to forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard great anecdotal evidence of reducing psoriasis just from the drops, as well as using the topical on like kind of the little plaques of psoriasis.
Cool. Thanks. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. And then CBG specifically, because it has also a separate mechanism of action of what it does on blood pressure and the smooth muscle of the bladder. So those are the main things people are using these for. So again, just to kind of put it all together, what makes these products work is that it's full spectrum cannabinoids. It's not, the bottle of Ultracell is not just a CBD isolate, but it has the 100+ other cannabinoids. And in the Ultracell, that's primarily CBD. It also has some CBG. The CBG also has some CBD and the 100+ other phytocannabinoids. They also all have terpenes, which is the medicinal component of what's in other plants and what's in essential oils. They also have flavonoids, so that's the antioxidant component that's in fruits and vegetables, of what is one of the reasons that makes fruits and vegetables so healthy. And then they also have vitamins, minerals, omegas, and proteins. So the Dr. De Silva, the chief medical officer, has actually referred to this as God's multivitamins. So the CBD are those black bottles, and they come in 3 flavors of berry, lemon, and raw. The raw doesn't have any, so for people that are the ingredient police and don't want any additives at all, that's where the raw is from. But otherwise, there's some natural berry and natural lemon flavoring. But the raw, I personally like the raw, but I don't like sweet things really. The raw kind of has an earthy taste. And then the CBG, it says it has a hibiscus taste. I don't know really what that means. It tastes a little bit of like, it tastes a little like berry to me. And then there's the Ultracell topical. That's a cream that can be used, like you said, on topical skin lesions, burns, or an isolated joint. So putting all of these things in this component in the wheel has been called the entourage effect of why it works so well.
I love how the topical feels. It's a really nice texture too, and it's not greasy. I don't know how else to describe it, and really light, and it does have a nice scent. It's not, I don't know, it reminded me of kind of an essential oil, right? Like, would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it has a menthol kind of smell, but it's not obnoxious like Bengay. It's a nice menthol kind of smell.
Yeah, and the nicest like soft texture, no greasy. I was pretty surprised by that. I really enjoyed like the feel.
Yep. Okay. I get really excited about this because this is, as far as I know, the only company that actually has a human study to back up its absorption claims. So they don't just say that it gets absorbed at the 90% level, but they actually have a human study to prove it. That when they were given a dose, they got basically IV levels or 90% absorption levels on average, and it stayed there for 12 hours. So some of them, a few on the market do have an absorption study, but it didn't stay up there for 12 hours. So so I really like that they had a third party study. And also Zalise is committed to continuing with medical research with their products with specific disease states. So that really gets me excited as well. Switching gears a little bit, they do have a couple other products. Now these are what's called the boosters. These don't have any hemp in it whatsoever. So I'll just start with my favorite, which is the Burn. I love this. Like, it does have a little bit of caffeine in it, so it's literally the first thing I take when I wake up in the morning on my way to the gym. It's meant to be taken twice a day, and it has some other supplements in this proprietary blend to help with weight loss and insulin resistance. And the results that we get with this are kind of crazy of how well it works. And when you combine it with CBD, that's also just, again, really good results. The Dream can be used either alone or in addition to CBD or CBG, but it's only going to help with sleep. So sometimes people will ask me, like, I don't sleep, which one should I start with? I would always go with CBD or CBG because, again, they can help with sleep and give people other side benefits versus this is only going to help with sleep. The Ultra Edge, and so those two other products, the Dream and the Burn, are also outside of CBD, our biggest sellers in my medical practice. The Edge, I have a bottle of it in my office, and I'll use it if I get that like 3 o'clock slump where like I just have a craving for maybe a caffeinated beverage or a cookie or chocolate or something like that to kind of get me to finish through my day. So it can be a replacement for caffeine to help with energy, to help with kind of mental clarity or brain fog. So I'll take it every now and then at work. The Ice has a proprietary blend of some other things that can help with any kind of inflammation. So if somebody has severe an inflammatory disease, excuse me, a lot of aches and pains, maybe a severe bowel issue, the Ice for its reducing inflammation can be either used as a nice complement to the CBD and CBG or used in addition. Or if somebody just absolutely can't take hemp for whatever reason, or has an allergy, they can take these either on their own or in addition to the hemp products. Anything else you wanted to add there, Carrie?
Nope, sounds good.
Okay. So testimonials, I know this is new for a lot of people. I'm kind of giving you my testimonials, but when I do this in the group setting in Cincinnati, of people that have been using it, of hearing how it's just been kind of almost life-changing, is I joke and say it almost sounds like Jesus showed up when people start really sharing their stories of how this has helped them. And some people get immediate relief. Other people might take even a month or 2 months for it to work. But at the end of the day, this product really works, and it's really exciting to see how this can be life-changing for about 80 to 90% of people that give it a real try. So now I'll turn it over to you, Carrie, and you can talk about the business aspect of Zalise.
Okay. All right. So I want to kind of, hold on. I'm setting my phone up because I'm also on Instagram Live. There we go. I had my phone pointed at the slides for that. So first of all, before I forget, if you have any questions that you, we're going to do Q&A here in just a bit, but at the bottom of your Zoom, somewhere on your Zoom, you'll see a chat box. If you want to drop your thoughts there that you have, but we also will open it up that you can ask any questions at the end too. The first thing I want to talk about real quickly is kind of how and why I'm here. Like, why the heck, like, Carrie, you're a Beachbody coach. We know, like, you eat, sleep, and breathe. Like, I drank the Beachbody Kool-Aid like 4.5 years ago kind of thing. First and foremost, I've never been shy about the fact that I love multi-level marketing. It is something I'm extremely passionate about. It's something that has changed my life. It's something that I feel it's gross how a lot of people market that are in multi-level marketing, and unfortunately so much of that reputation has been damaged from poor marketing, in my opinion. But I've always tried to just keep it really real here. My friend Sherry that's on said the other day, like, how do you do this with Zalise? Because you've always been really honest and not salesy. And I thought it was such a good question, because it was like, I want to look at like that. This is never about a sale. I am about making and helping you feel 100% the best, most authentic version of you. And I personally wholeheartedly believe that's my body, mind, spirit, freedom, all those things. And so multi-level marketing for me has opened up a lifestyle of freedom that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't said yes to coaching 4.5 years ago. And I have, I always, when I started coaching 4.5 years ago, I owned my photography business. I'd been an entrepreneur for 13 years, or at that point, I think it was 9 years. Now it's 13, but I didn't really know that all streams of income made sense, or that was even like a thing you could do. And now I'm like, duh. But you have to think about it. Right? We have kids, we have bills, we have credit card debt, we have home debt, we have all these things. Everything costs money, and it's just getting more expensive. And for me, multiple streams of income, I'm not going to be shy about that. It is very important, but I also could never align myself with something that I didn't really feel like was adding value to people's lives, being a product that is a very clean, something that genuinely adds value to your life. So I just kind of want to like preface this with that. The other thing that I've seen happen in my coaching business is with the saturation of, it's not oversaturated, I believe there's abundance everywhere, but because I can walk outside my house and find 5 people who need our help as coaches. But what I've seen happen because of such disgusting, like, people marketing on social media, it's really hard to be a really good coach and do your job. And it has broken my heart. This is really been kind of tough for me to say, but it's broken my heart to watch my team feel like they can't do a good job, or don't have a leader and so they're meeting their financial freedom goals. And so the opportunity, for me, is kind of something I really believe has the potential to be another piece of it without taking away, but also it adds such hope to the life. And that financial leader that talked about, Dr. Brenner said, she sees, like, clearly, you guys, she is someone who is fully capable of living her life to the fullest, yet she sees the value in what this can potentially do for herself and her family too. So I don't want to be shy about that. So we'll go real quickly through a couple of these slides. So the compensation plan is a binary system. And if you are a Beachbody coach, you know what binary system means. We're binary, which means you have a right leg, a left leg, that kind of thing. So that you also have retail profits, and just like we do with like Shakeology or any of our performance products or Beachbody On Demand, any of that, you have your retail profits. You'll see number 1. They also have fast start bonus, very similar to what we're used to, binary that I talked about. Generational bonus, I'm not going to go deep into these because if you're genuinely considering the business opportunity, I'll go through these deeper with you. But just some really neat ways that I loved hearing how Zalise is leaning into some of those. They have an amazing veterans program that they're doing. There's the infinity bonuses, the benefits program, and the revenue sharing. So as you can see, there's multiple ways to earn an income through Zalise. 7 of them. So anyway, if you want to flip to the next one. Did I miss anything there, Dr. Brenner?
No, I think it's really interesting because when I talked to you, you were obviously very into MLM versus I never thought in a million I would do an MLM. I kind of always thought, like, why would I ever do something like that? So I have a completely different background of I just love these products. And then basically saw such an opportunity because this is so different and is going to just open up a huge other aspect of medicine. But now that I am in an MLM, it's what I love about it is connecting with people I never ever would connect with. And that's just been really fun to help other people grow their business. And so I never thought I would be ever into this, and now I just love it. So
cool. Yeah, it's fun. Different. Definitely everybody comes at it a little bit differently. Okay, retail earnings, we talked about this very briefly. Multiple ways to share, unique tiered pricing, customers save money, earn up to 200% profit, and product benefits everyone. So that is something I've noticed right away, especially in talking to people when we start to have these conversations about CBD, CBG. The cool thing is in coaching, I feel like I'm really only super effective at helping women because I understand their walk, I understand their journey, I've walked it, that kind of thing. But your mother, your brother, aunt, your uncle, your grandma, your cousin's brother, sister's friend, and your dog. Like it is a product that benefits everybody. And that's been fun. Like to go from having a very, very, very niche market in coaching to really seeing something that can benefit and provide hope to a lot of people. One conversation I was recently having with someone who has some neuropathy that they're seeing some benefits with using CBD from. That was really cool to hear just the hope in their voice. So, you know, I get to hear that hope in coaching and watch women really change their lives on a very deep level. Like it was just kind of neat to see that same hope from someone who had a completely different something who I couldn't have helped much in any way previously being in a very niche market. So anyway, all right, next one. I think, did we miss one?
Did I miss one? No.
No. Okay. All right. So power of duplication. I'm just going to talk about this very quickly. When I first saw this slide, I was like, you know, it kind of like, I hate like the too good to be true because I never ever, as someone who loves multi-level marketing, never want to come at this. Like this is easy. Like everybody should do it. I don't believe that at all. I believe though that the power of duplication. So it's kind of the compound effect. When I first started coaching, one of the things that one of the first books I read was The Compound Effect and The Slight Edge. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them. I know many of the coaches have here, but so compound effect is just the very simple thought that little by little, a little becomes a lot. But basically, like I tell one person who tells two people, who tells two people, who tells two people, and quickly you can see how that's grown. That's exactly how my coaching business has grown. But I also don't want to come at it from the point of like, it's easy for everybody. It's not. Like all of this takes work. Anything worth doing takes work. And I would never train my own team to think like, it's just going to like be super easy. Like you have to do the work. But it is so worthwhile and so quickly because it's not so niched. You can help so many people. You can see the growth that can happen super fast. So just kind of for those of you who
It's
are
9 o'clock.
Oh, sorry, somebody's calling time. Okay. Binary power. I don't even, oh, we talked about this. Okay, so you can see how up here the green person, so right leg, left, I guess they call it right team, left team, and then kind of the same. Anybody who is in Beachbody knows what binary means, so I'm not going to go super into that. Up to $130 on your enrollments, up to 20% on team enrollments, earn through unlimited levels. As you can see, you know, just like Beachbody or anything else, they have associate, community, city, area, regional, national. What are you, Dr. Brenner? Regional? Here, I'll unmute you. There you go. Oh, didn't work. Okay, I can't unmute you. There you go.
So I'm national.
National, yeah. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, next slide. Is there anything I missed there?
No, I think that's about it.
Okay. So the blessing, the first one that you see there, up to $500 a month. This was pretty cool when I was first exploring this particular company, just on the compensation plan. I think it's really cool when companies give back. You guys that are all part of Beachbody or have been part of Beachbody understand like how neat it is to watch us give back to things that matter. And so up to, again, we can go into this deeper if it's something you're genuinely interested in, but that blessing bonus up to $500 a month. You can help just anybody random, basically. Oh, somebody's asking on the live if they can see. Yeah, let me turn it around for you. Sorry, I'm on Instagram. Somebody's asking if they can see the slides. Let me turn it around. There we go. And then the Jeep, which Dr. Brenner, you qualified for this one, correct? So I'll let you go into that.
I did in the first month. So when I'm on the phone a lot at night, I just tell my teenagers, look, this is why we have a Jeep that you can drive. So please don't talk to me while I'm on the phone. So
got it. And then healthcare up to $1,500 a month. There's a global pool up to 2% a quarter. And then if you really want to go crazy, you can even earn motor coach up to $3,000 a month, which is kind of fun. Residual income. Let's see, get paid monthly. Every product sold up to 6 generations in your downline. I don't know what that duplicate the 4x4 is. That I don't know what that one means.
Yeah, it's just explaining that when you on their second orders, it's kind of almost like having little franchises all over the country of earning a residual income on after that initial sign up. As other people continue to order the product, you get residual income from that for up to 6 generations.
You can see the generation graph.
But then when you get to area, it unlocks it through infinity generations, if that makes sense.
Yep. Got it. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is what's super exciting, and I don't know how you can not be excited about it, but I know that Sherry's still on the call. Oh, my live just ended on Instagram. Sorry, Instagram. Sorry. Okay, so 90% of success is timing, and so 700% growth by 2020. And so most of you, I know some of you are from Michigan, but a lot of you aren't either. There is no one else in Michigan, from what we understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Brenner, who is using or an ambassador for Zoe. So there's a ton of growth opportunity here locally, personally, but also just the entire company wide. They're expected to do 22 billion by 2022. That's an insane number, like the CBD in general, correct?
Yeah, but if you really look at where 22 billion is on this graph, it's still not even up the hill. It's still just barely in the momentum phase. If you look at that, where that is projected to be on the graph 2 years from now, it's still not even at the top. So,
and my girls know, like, I'm not somebody that pretends something isn't happening. So I'm just going to say it like I say it to my friends. Like I said to Sherry, like, I know this is happening everywhere around me. And I know that people are purchasing, Sherry and I have this conversation, like the $22 bottle of CBD that, one, they're not absorbing. Two, it's potentially causing more detriment to their health because it could potentially have some of the heavy metals in there. So they may be doing more damage. I don't want that for them. But also, I'm not going to be shy and say, I don't want a piece of that pie. Like, I think it's silly to pretend we don't. Like, I'm just going to keep it real because those are the things I say to my people. And it's not an opportunity I really have any interest in missing out on. Furthermore, I've looked at so many different opportunities for MLM. Like, my mom was just on here a little bit ago. I think she's off now, but when I was visiting her in Florida, I think back in the spring, I was even considering doing like an active wear because I'm like, oh, it kind of lines up with Beachbody. And I decided not to because there was just some things that didn't feel right. I always go by, like, I feel like I can trust my instinct and my gut on things. And I just decided, you know what, I really don't think this is quite right for me. It doesn't feel right. And I have not felt that with anything with Zulise. It's always felt very right. So I guess what I'm saying is trust your instincts too. Like, if it feels right, like, lean into that, get excited about that, ask questions. Poor Dr. Brenner has had to deal with all of my questions for a few weeks, but has been awesome.
You asked some great questions.
And I have girls asking amazing questions too that you've had to have me come to you with too. So I appreciate your patience with us. So, okay, I think next one. Okay, so this is going to just talk about how to choose a pack if the business opportunity is something that you're interested in. And then we're going to get right into Q&A if you've got anything. I see somebody left a question too, which I'll shout out in just a second. So these are the 3 packs. And again, I am such a visual learner. This was the one I was like, okay, show me, right? Like, what does this cost? And we can get into that. There's a couple of different options, but there is the bronze package, which is $199. You get 1 bottle of CBD to get you started, and then all of the business materials. Dr. Brenner, I'm going to let you explain the percentages because you explained that a little bit better than I.
Yeah, so on the 7 ways you get paid, the second way you get paid is on enrollments. So if you're a bronze ambassador, then you get 10% of your commission of enrollments, versus if you're a silver, if you come in at silver, you get 15% of the binary team enrollments, or gold, you get 20% of the binary team enrollments. So it's based on your percentage if you're doing the business. So you can always upgrade. You could start out at 1 level and upgrade from there. The other difference is, as you can see, is you get more products. So in order to make money on the first option on the retail side, obviously you have to have product in hand, because almost everybody, when they hear about this, they're like, okay, great, like I want some.
Yeah. So I'll explain a little bit something that I think is worth mentioning here. So Marsha, what did you say exactly? Oh, okay, got it. So I went bronze because when I first signed on, I was like, before I like go all in and make an investment, I need to like continue to feel this out, like continue to make sure that this feels like a good fit for my audience and a good fit for my morals, my values, like the things that I want my team, that I need to make sure that I can be a product of the product and feel really good about this. And again, like I said, everything has felt so right for me. So honestly, I'm in the process of just deciding, like I went on at bronze, but it's not working for me. Like I need more. Sherry's sending me texts every day, like, do you have some? Like, come on, hurry up. So I'm just trying to decide the next one. So I'll tell you, one of the things that I struggled with, there is a way, if and when you decide that if this business is for you, that the way that Zalise offers their product is you're going to stock some product versus just sending them. You can send them to your website to just go ahead and order, and you're going to earn your commission that way, and they're going to get what they need. But you can offer them a little bit more discount by having more. The more you purchase, the more, it's kind of like going to Costco. You know how like the more you purchase, the more money you can help your customer save, and your profit margin changes a little bit. So and the other thing is, everybody wants it right now. So that was one thing I struggled with when I first started coaching. Like people would be like, yeah, I want Shakeology right now. Can you give it? Can you give it to me? And I couldn't. They have to go through Beachbody. At least with this, I can do that for them. And then they can get started right away versus having to wait. So, there's pros and cons to both. I won't deny that. It is an investment, and I don't ever want to pretend that it's not. But that bronze is perfect for you if you want to be a consumer and just kind of see how it feels at first. But I'll tell you, you're going to want more in your hands very, very, very quickly. So if you can, Dr. Brenner was super, super patient with me with trying to figure this out, what was right for me. But kind of the same, you're going to run into the same issue as me, because everybody, their mother, brother, sisters, grandmas, uncle, and their dog wants it, kind of thing. So it's true. That really is what has happened. And Sherry, I know Sherry, you can unmute and if you want to, and verify that, because she's had to hear me say, see, I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So anyway, anything else on that slide, Dr. Brenner?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
My situation was a little different. I came in at, but I had already tried the product kind of before it was available in Ohio. So then I ordered my gold pack really just to have for personal use, and then literally just went out to dinner with some friends, and everybody was like, well, I want it, I want it, I want it. So my gold pack was gone just with my close friends and family. And then as soon as it was legal to be sold in Ohio, I think I ordered like the max amount, 4 cases of every product they had. So, but that gold pack just went just to my close friends and family. So
Marcia asked too, can you upgrade or do you stay at the level where you enroll? You can upgrade, Marcia, absolutely. There's just even a better way to that I'm considering. You can get like 48 bottles at a time kind of thing. So yes, you can upgrade. You're not locked in at like the bronze or silver or gold kind of thing. That was a good question. Sherry, you unmuted. I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
I honestly don't remember, but other than just, I wish I had more in my hand. I mean, just since, literally since Monday, we've been talking, and I've been talking to people and other people, and I already feel so passionate about it so fast that I had the ability to just hand it to them and like get them started. I guess that's, my biggest thing.
Yep. Yep. You need to have it in hand. That's exactly what I'm running into too. So
Yeah.
just at first I was kind of like, I sort of hate this just because I'm so used to just sending them to my website, like the Beachbody things. I'm just like, here, just go order it for yourself kind of thing. Unfortunately, with this particular product, it is really helpful to have it in hand. It makes a big difference. And to be able to help save them a little bit more money. Okay. Is there a next slide, Dr. Brenner?
No, that's it.
Okay, cool. All right. So someone asked in the chat, I think she had to go, but she said, could you share more info on CBD or CBG and ADHD?
Yeah. So, I mean, the problem with that kind of disorder, and I will be honest, I don't treat that disorder in my practice. So I'm basically just telling you what I've read about it, is nobody exactly knows, like, what is the underlying mechanism or what is the underlying cause of that. There's a big debate of, is it something in the food? Is it chemicals? Is it toxins? Like, nobody really knows. One of the thought processes, though, is there's some type of inflammation in the brain. So from that standpoint, it makes sense to me that it could potentially cause more mental clarity and things like that in that disorder. If I had to pick one, I would go with, if I had a family member or patient, I would probably go with CBG because it has more effect on our immune system and in our neurological system.
Okay, makes sense. Yep. All right, for those of you that are on, if you want to unmute, ask any questions, now's your time. I'm just gonna
I do have one quick question. When we were talking about the boosters for Dream particularly, I mean, can any of these products, or have they been approved? I don't know if that's even the right word, for kids, teenagers. I mean, I know we were just talking about ADHD, but like just specifically sleep issues or the gamut of things that kids face.
So I will just tell you, in general, none of these products are FDA approved, and they never will be because they're not prescription drugs, they're supplements. And
right.
So we use a lot of supplements in my medical practice, vitamin D, fish oil, I mean, you name it. We have a slew of supplements. And all the supplement companies that I work with, every single bottle says, do not use if pregnant or nursing, consult with, or not to be used for children under 18. So that's just what the supplement industry kind of conveys.
Right. I don't mean to cut. Yeah, no, I don't mean to cut you off. I just, no, because I completely understand that. I work for a naturopathic doctor, so I completely understand of homeopathic remedies. And so FDA not approved, the statement will not cure or prevent. Yeah. And, so, I mean, is it safe? I guess, I guess that's more the thing. Are you seeing people give it to children or, young?
My little first legal slide. So the legal answer is I'm going to say, with any children, you're going to want to check with your doctor. Do I give this to my children? Yes.
Okay. I mean, here's my next thing. This is just from experience too. It's kind of, do you feed your kids McDonald's? Like, you're giving, it's okay for dogs. So, that's kind of like the thought process that I've always gone at with these things. Like, you're the parent, you get to decide and run it by the doctor sort of thing. Like, I don't know.
Well, I was more aiming not necessarily in it being in a harmful way. I was more looking at it in a sense of have there been people that have been doing this that are seeing just as many positive stories with the younger population as they are seeing with the older population. I guess that's kind of where I was going, not in the right or wrong, legal, not legal.
Yeah.
I will just tell you anecdotally, my colleagues that are in other states that have had their hands on this for a lot longer than my friends in Ohio are absolutely using it for children.
Okay, that answers my question. I was just curious to that.
That's a good question. Always, you have such good questions.
Try.
All right. Anybody else? Cool. All right. Well, if anybody else has questions, they can always drop them in the comments in the group. I am going to share this as a YouTube link in the Facebook group, and it will live there as well as on YouTube. And Dr. Brenner, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
I feel like this was pretty well attended Zoom for just getting this up pretty quickly. So I thank you all of you who joined us, and we'll check back on the group and see how we do there. Good night, everybody.
Good night.